Kicking off with the weekend vibes. Fins talk, we going live. Bobby fans and fish tank Hank. Miami Dolphins, we got your back. Saturday noon is the place to be. Catching Dolphins, talking fantasy. From the field to the fan debate. Fins talk today, don't be late. Fins up, we ride until the end. With Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Live chatting, stats so prime. Miami hustle all the time. News and views will pave the way. Dive on in, it's Fins talk today. Top plays and what went wrong. Breaking down each game so strong. Fans united, feel the beat. Fins talk, family can't be beat. Fins up, we ride until the end. With Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby.
Oh, and Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Welcome to a Christmas Eve special of Fins Talk today. We are back. Fish Tank Hank is in the house. What's up, Fish Tank?
Yo, what's going on? I'm
Man,
finally back with you. It's been a little bit.
It's been a minute. You've left me with the crazies here on FTSN the last few weeks, but that's okay. You're back to save the day. Man, before we get into first, a lot to talk about today. Dolphin season still alive. It's despite everything that's gone on, technically still alive. We're going to discuss how can Miami find some Christmas magic and make the playoffs. We'll dive into that. Dolphins beat the 49ers. But before we get into all of that whatnot, Fish Tank Hank, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, went down for the final game. That was exciting as all get out. The best part was one of our friends that we tailgate with, his name's Bob. He turned 75 on that day.
Happy birthday, Bob.
So that was awesome. His birthday and celebrating his 75th with him, and they were cordial enough to allow us to celebrate with them, and that was really fun. It was a really great time. They had hamburgers and steaks and all kinds of stuff. Every time we go to a tailgate, it's like one big cookout, and then there's another gentleman that parks across from us, and these guys bring everything from a pizza oven to you name it. They cook up a storm, and I'm talking like they bring like steaks like 6 like this big, and there's like 3 or 4 of them. They bring these steaks that are huge that you cut up for a bunch of people, and they just wind up giving it out to everybody, that they love to cook and have people gather. And awesome. It makes the tailgate so much more fun.
Well, the tailgates are awesome, and shout out to those, or just a word of advice to those who go to the games. Try to go to games a little early. Get in there and enjoy the tailgate. Go see Fish Tank. Go see the crew. I mean, it is an awesome atmosphere. Doll is in the house. She says, "Hank, I've missed you." Shout out to Doll, who had an awesome show last night on Doll's Diary. She had Lisa.
I saw your show last week, Doll.
Yeah, hey, let me tell you, last night's show, Fish Tank, with Lisa, fan of the year, and her sister Amy was awesome. They killed it last night, the 3 of them. So shout out to them, guys. If you haven't seen that show, go check it out on FTSN now. And
the last one I watched was with Planny. It was with Planny.
Yeah, Planny. Yeah, I saw you. I was going to check because Tati produces Doll's show, and I went to go check to make sure everything was good. And I saw Finn's Table Talk. And I went, that's Fish Tank. I go, oh, okay, there's Fish Tank. I was like, awesome. So, Merry Christmas, 72 undefeated.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Great to see you. But my goodness, it's so cool. We're finally here. How fast the year has gone. How fast the season has gone for the Miami Dolphins. It is Christmas. Christmas is tomorrow. The tracker is on. Santa is traveling. Kids are excited. I got my Santa hat on. I'm ready to go. I don't have my Santa beard. the Dolphins made it fall off, but that's okay. It should grow back once everything is back to normal. But Fish Tank, with everything going on with, my basketball season, usually that's it falls around this time. You do your things. It's been a little crazy this last few weeks for Fitz Talk today, but we're here today. We haven't had a chance though to talk about the Dolphin season so far. Well, everybody's heard from me because I'm on post game and got the other show, but we haven't heard
you
from
have
you.
like 12 shows. I'm only on one.
So let me ask you, man. We haven't heard from you in regards of the season so far since the last time we've talked, and you had very big, high expectations for this football team. Even the people who are more mellow on this team, or not as you fanboy, if you want to call it. They were even high. I'm not calling you a fanboy, but high expectations on this football team, and the Dolphins are 7-8 right now. And they lost to Houston in what was a very bad game, and we all had Houston kind of checked. Like, oh, this is a pause game. But, we know they did not play their best football. Tua had a very bad game. Turn around. They have a solid game against San Francisco. That was a game where it was cause to pause no matter how you felt about the teams. But Miami came up on top. So it's been a very seesaw-like type season, which really sucks because we all expected Miami would at least, if they don't beat the good teams, they beat the bad teams. We're like, okay, we're going to get in the playoffs. But now it's like, okay, we got to get into playoffs if we win out, but we also have to rely on this team to lose and this team to win. We're back in the same kind of situation. What are your thoughts on Miami as a whole right now throughout this season?
Disappointment's too easy of a word. I was a little I guess I was a little mad at one point in time in the season, about midway. I was like, wow, you guys, you got all this stuff that you said you needed and wanted. You got it. Things are working. Why are we losing? And, but now it's kind of like, now it's sunk in. Okay, now I got to look at next year. Is how I've been thinking about it. But now, if we win out, and another team loses out, and another team loses one, we're in. So, I'm just sitting here like you, sitting there going, wow, I really expected us to be in. I expected us to be kind of where the Steelers are. And we're nowhere near where the Steelers are. So my expectations as far as the season is gone, it's not very high.
Yeah.
But I still hold on to that Christmas spirit because I love my team. I'm a Dolphins fan every day of the year. I wear my garb, so it's not going to stop me from being a fan now,
No, absolutely not. And I think you hit the nail on the head on where our expectations was on this team. You had your ceiling, you had your floor, but this was way below the floor. And it's kind of a drag to be kind of in the same situation where you are looking on the outside in and you're going, well, okay, if the Colts lose and we continue to win out, we could sneak in. And then and then you got to look ahead and you go, okay, but if we sneak in, who do we face? And do we actually have a shot? Let me ask you this, because everyone's playing the blame game. And everyone has an opinion. I know I didn't have this on the outline, but I know everyone has an opinion on this. Everybody's doing the blame game. It's like, oh, we need a new franchise quarterback. We heard that after the Houston game. Oh, we need a new head coach. We know that from the Finstanza train. We need a new GM. Hi, how are you? Fish Tank. Who do you place the blame on with the way this team is right now?
With the way this team is right now, well, this team's winning right now. So who do I blame for winning?
Who do you blame for the 7-8 record, the underachieving results?
Let's
do this.
If I was going to play the blame game, which I don't like to do.
Yeah.
which I really don't like to do. And yo, what's up, Chef?
What's up, Chef? How
I
you
got to
doing,
hang
sir?
out with Chef. Stopped by and saw me the other day at the game. That was very nice of him.
Chef is awesome, man. Awesome
And,
dude, man.
and he had some T-shirts for donations, and it was really cool. I didn't get any shirts, but just so you know, he has some. I don't know if he still has them selling them, but that's with Miss Finn's.
There you go.
So I want to give a shout out to him. But as far as who do I blame? It falls on two people. It falls on two people. Because, we don't have the personnel we should have had,
Correct. Yeah.
5 years ago. We didn't start collecting offensive and defensive linemen. Why, I don't know. I don't know why. We already had the candy, and they kept going after more. Okay, great. We did pick up Chop. Chop's now starting to do a little more, and things like that. But it has to fall on the head coach, and it has to fall on Chris Greer. It falls on both because Chris Greer continues to pick up hurt personnel that we can't rely on, and the best abilities availability in the NFL. And we are.
Oh, Fish Tank fell off. Well, maybe his internet. Wait on him, but I think Fish Tank is right on the money. We wait for Fish Tank to pop back in. Excuse me. But right now, I think Chef says, I blame Greer. I want him gone badly. Newfoundland, no. Merry Christmas, sir. Merry Christmas, George, of the Fitz Faithful podcast. No O-line, no depth, and key positions, no quality backup. Quarterback lies with one guy, Greer, 1,000%. And I think that's where Fish Tank was going. We'll wait for Fish Tank to pop back in. But yeah, I riding right with you guys. I think Fish Tank was right on the money. I think these guys are right here. Fish Tank back in here. But Fish Tank, what I was saying was just to follow up, because Chef says, I blame Greer. I want him gone badly. Newfoundland, he says, Merry Christmas. He says, no offensive line, no depth in key positions, no quality backup quarterback. This all lies with one guy, Chris Greer. And what I was saying was, I agree. I understand everybody wants to pin the blame. We need a new quarterback. Well, first of all, okay, take out Tua. Let's plug in whoever you want to plug in. Let's plug in one guy. Who's your head coach and who's your GM? If your GM is still Chris Greer, what do you think is going to be different? Not much, because the offensive, there's no investment. We fire the head coach. Okay, then who's your GM, general manager? Oh, it's Chris Greer. Then not much is going to be different. That's really where it starts. So my thing, the way I think about it is, Fish Tank, is like, let's say you own the team. Let's say tomorrow you come up with $6.5 billion, because that's what Miami's worth, and Stephen Ross sells you the team, and Miami falls short of the playoffs, because our expectations this year was winning at least the playoff game. They're not near that right now, because we're just praying they make it. Who's the first, let's say right now, because I know you don't like the blame game, but you're owning the team, Fish Tank. The season is over. What decision do you make? Do you say, you know what? Injuries was a big issue. Let's go ahead and run it back one more year with these guys, with Chris Greer at the helm at GM, McDaniel as the coach. Do you run it back, or do you say, you know what? No, I want to make a change at least at the very top, or do you just completely clean house and then start with a new GM, a new coach, and move forward? What would you do if you're running the team, Fish Tank?
Well, the first thing that you have to do is set a standard of where you want the team to be. And in doing that, those high-priced players, they can either take a pay cut for not making it happen, or I'll trade them. That's the first thing I do, is trade the high up players, get some draft capital, and I would then keep the head coach and the GM, being I'm a new owner. I would keep them just for the first year and then
Okay.
see who's available the following year. I would also tell the GM, the current GM, I would say you will build the line, and after you build the line, you'll build the line again. I know you're not worried about the line, but you're going to build both lines. And then I
Gotcha.
tell them one more time, just to remind you, you're going to build the lines.
So what I'm hearing, and again, you're thinking of the new owner, you're like, hey, I got it. That way I have at least a year. But what you're basically saying is, we're going to run it back, but you're going to be on a short leash. Here are my expectations. If you don't do this and you fall short again, you're gone.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
You
Eric
don't
agrees.
build this line. If you don't build both lines and make them stout in this coming draft, and you're not using any more draft capital of the future either, then
No trading.
no.
Yeah. Eric's with you. Eric says at least one more year with some touches. I think McDaniel is going to coach better after the lesson he learned this season. O-line, linebackers, and big wide receivers. I'm down with that for sure. Well,
Yeah.
for offensive line, again, when I'm starting to already look at the draft and I'm doing my scouting, and I know a lot of us are going to plug in offensive linemen at in the first round, but then you got to remember who's your GM. If it's Chris Greer, is that really where he's going to go? I would just hope that Stephen Ross says, hey, these are the expectations. If anybody had to go, if anyone was going to make a change, and I'm about, I don't want to do this whole recycle. Okay, keep this guy fired, this guy do this. But if there was going to be any type of change, I think you start at the very top. Go with a new general manager. You say, if you want to keep McDaniel, and you say, okay, I think because you saw what Stephen Ross gave McDaniel the game ball last Sunday. You could tell that he likes McDaniel, and maybe he sees it the way a lot of people see it. So a handful of see it where it's like, hey,
maybe that
was
his goodbye to him.
Could be. We never know. Fish Tank, how many of our bosses would give you a bonus and say, hey, thank you for the work you did, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, yeah, but listen, you did not meet expectations. We're going to have to move on. It could happen. You're absolutely right. But for me, if Ross was under the mindset of, okay, I'm going to let Greer go, but I'm going to keep McDaniel, I would hope that he says with the new general manager, listen, I want to bring you on, but I'm going to leave the choice to you. You got to decide if you're going to keep McDaniel, or you can go get a new coach. Then I'm going to be okay with it. If the new GM says, okay, we're keeping McDaniel, then I'm going to be okay with it. Let's move forward and let's see a new vision. But if he goes, no, you have to keep McDaniel, and that comes out that no, the new GM had, then I'm gonna have a problem with it. If you clean house or you leave it up to the new general manager, if it is a new general manager, to decide on McDaniel's fate. I do believe that if you come up with a new foundation guy who lays the bricks in regards to GM, maybe, just maybe, McDaniel learns from its mistakes and grows. I would hope too that McDaniel gives up on play calling hires or gives it up to give it to the offense coordinator. He still does the play designs, but give up on play calling. But
don't give him a choice.
Oh, I agree. I know. I know. I know.
You're done play calling.
There's Fish Tank right there. And quality backup quarterback. Fish Tank and I talked about that all off season. I was saying we're all worried about Tua's contract. We just saw what happened with Kirk Cousins. The Falcons signed Kirk Cousins to a big ass contract, and look, he's about to get bounced. So it happened.
McKenzie would be good. I wouldn't mind McKenzie.
Yeah. Again, Reggie McKenzie, what he did with the Oakland Raiders when they were still in Oakland before John Gruden took over.
I like McKenzie.
Fish Tank. I was on 305 Sports with Will Patron, and he asked those questions about who's a GM that you guys want, because they always do that. Fish Tank. Well, if you get rid of this guy, who are you going to take back? And you go, oh my god. But so I started doing research, and you brought up a team. I'm going to bring up this one first because you said I thought we were going to be the Steelers. That was what you said at the beginning, and so that's actually a team. For me, I'm looking at teams that are always in it, always in the hunt. You look at what the Steelers did this year: sign Russell Wilson for basically $1. Go ahead and trade it for Justin Fields. Still, Russell Wilson can't start the season. They bring in Justin Fields. They still win. That defense is ridiculous. They plug in Russell Wilson. They go, oh my God, what are you doing? You're winning with Justin Fields. Why would you put in Russell Wilson? Look what he did with Denver. They still win with Russell Wilson. And the Steelers, 10 and something, are I think the 13 are in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. So
yeah, they're in.
They're always in it.
They're going to be anywhere from 3rd seed to 6th seed. They're in.
They're in no matter what. And you got to look at those type of teams that are always in it. They're constructed. They got a strong foundation for me, Pittsburgh is one of them. Andy Reidel, the assistant GM there, is a guy that I put down on the list because what he's been there with Pittsburgh since '98. Was promoted to the assistant GM in 22. Is the scout. Another one is from the Baltimore Ravens, Ben Hortitz, director of player personnel, and then Mike Borgonzi is the assistant general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are guys that just on the list. I mean, there's other names out there, I'm sure, but I would zone in on because of where they come from. They know how to build a team. They see what it is because Kansas City Chiefs, you go, oh, well, they have Pat Mahomes. They're not winning because of Pat Mahomes is an MVP. Pat Mahomes is one of the best. He's in that conversation now, but they didn't win the Super Bowl last year because of Pat Mahomes. They won because of that defense. That defense is stout. That's what's great about the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not just, like you brought up, the candy. They're not just about candy. They're about that offensive line. They're about their defensive line. Look at their offensive line. People are wanting that right guard of theirs. Creed Humphrey. We should have drafted Creed Humphrey. Miami passed on him for someone else. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. These guys know what's important. You look at the Ravens, Orlando Brown, Stanley out of Notre Dame years ago, Pittsburgh, they always focus on what's important. So those are the guys that if there was going to be a change, if you said, Bobby, only one guy you could get rid of, only one, it'd be Chris Greer. Because I know there's a lot of differing opinions on our quarterback. But I'll say it again, and I've said it, Fish Tank, for the last few weeks, and I'll say it to you here. The truth is, you could win with Tua. He's not going to lead you. He's not going to put your team on your back, and you're not going to win because of him. But you could win with him. Because, if you're going to call him, oh, but he's not elite. He doesn't have to be elite. He doesn't have to. He could play an elite game, and sometimes he could have a bad game. I mean, he did it against Houston. That was horrible. But sometimes you have a good game. But you have to have a strong foundation around him. He's not a guy who's put Peyton Manning run his last Super Bowl not because of Peyton Manning. It was because of that Broncos defense. There's very few Tom Brady's in this world that you could win because of. Where Brady masked the issue. You know what I'm saying? There's a few guys that could do that. And but you look at, and I understand people, oh, it's different. Trent Dilfers of the world, the Brad Johnsons, the Rex Grossmans, those guys. And I'm not saying they're on the same level as Tua. Tua is better than that, but I do believe that that you could win with Tua, but you need to have somebody who can lay down, because if you have a solid foundation and offensive line, like you said, you build that line, you build it again, because not just the front piece, you need the back ends too, because one of those guys are going to go down. Then you have to have a guy who can plug and play. Yeah.
That's the other thing, that we have no depth.
No depth whatsoever. So let me ask you very quick, Fishing, just about the 49ers game. I know you said you had left a little early, but just from what you saw before you left, what did you think about how they played? And Devon Achane, monster game, awesome game from Devon Achane. What did you think of that game?
Early on, I saw some big plays given up by the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
That I noticed a lot. Who is that? Brandon Ayuk, number 1 on their team? I think.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's Deebo Samuel.
Deebo was tearing us up in the first half. He was just tearing us up. And I was a little surprised that we didn't score a little more, but other than that, I was happy that we were in it. I was just happy that we were in it, playing against San Francisco, and we had a chance to win. That's where my head was the whole game.
I think you're right on. And that was the difference between the Texans game and the 49ers game. The Texans game, even though it looked like a close game, and let me just say, Finn's Faithful Podcast had a great show last night. Steve Malloy was on there. Guys, if you haven't yet, go check out Finn's Faithful Podcast. They're growing fast. They're awesome dudes. George is amazing. Steve Malloy, Merry Christmas, brother. Steve recently asked me about you, Fish Tank, and there's Fish Tank. Fish Tank is here. He's back, and he's going Merry Christmas. What an awesome Christmas gift to have Fish Tank on with me. So that was different, because even though the Houston Texans game looked close, it really wasn't. It never felt close to me. It felt Miami was just in Houston gave Miami a lot of opportunities to win that football game.
Yeah.
Miami didn't take them. Miami kept going, oh, no, take the ball back. We don't want it. And it was kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Just do your job, dude. It's so easy. And then, of course, they come out and they beat the Niners, and it was a very good win. And, as much talk surrounds Devon Achin and, oh, is he elite? Is he this? Who cares? The guy's an elite playmaker for the Miami Dolphins. He's the number one playmaker on the Miami Dolphins. Oh, but it should be Tyreek Hill. Well, Tyreek Hill's dropping balls. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. And it is what it is.
Hey, the beginning of his career in Kansas City, he dropped a lot of balls too. Tyreek Hill did. So if you're surprised Tyreek's dropping balls, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not surprised. I was shocked that we paid him so much money, knowing that he has that ability to drop a few passes here and there. But
well, what it was Fish Tank, and I think we've talked about this before. Is the what he could give you. It's not about it's about what what he did for us the first season he was here, and see all that playmaking ability, the opening up. But guess what? Teams start to figure it out. Oh, we're always going to go over the top, so we're going to start taking that away from you. Now what are you going to do? Oh, well, I'm struggling getting underneath and all this. So, okay, now we're just going to do checkdowns to Devon Achin, and Devon Achin makes plays for you. Jonnu Smith is your number one guy in regards of playmaker with Devon Achin. So they're 1-2, and then of course Waddle and Hill are 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. That's why you get rid of an Odell Beckham, which you should never have signed in the first place. You should have used that money to go after another offensive lineman, whether in the backup role. So
or a backup quarterback.
Or a backup quarterback, and New Finland says we need a new QB1, but there's no one better to run the offense right now than Tua.
No. That's why I say you got to let this team run one more year.
Okay,
you let them run one more year, and the following year you have much better quarterback prospects than you do this year anyway.
That's true. 100%.
So I mean, it would kind of be foolish to get rid of Tua right now. It would serve no purpose.
Yeah, I wouldn't get rid of Tua right now.
Again, we need to bring in a quality backup. Quality backup that if we bring in a rookie the following year, we could still keep that quality backup to help that junior along.
Yes, 1,000%. I agree with you. And that would be, again, and not saying Miami's, because even if McDaniel, he's not looking at replacing Tua, but you don't have to look to replace Tua. You could go ahead and look to get that legitimate backup back there. That way, if and when Tua goes down, you're not wondering, oh, should I go get somebody off the street? No, you got your guy, and you feel comfortable about your guy. Don't do this malpractice that you did last year where you brought in, you let Skylar Thompson come in when you knew he shouldn't even be in there. My goodness. And then you got to go get Tyler Huntley and everything else. Go get a guy that you could feel good with. And hey, who knows? It might be where McDaniel goes, Tua goes down again, and he's like, man, I just can't do it. This is not good. I got to have my guy here always. And that's when you say there's better prospects next year at QB. That's when you make that leap. And there are some quarterbacks in the mid rounds that you could get to be that backup to develop and whatever the hell, but we're not there yet. We will get there eventually. So,
hey, I want to thank everybody for coming out and spending a little Christmas magic with us. We appreciate you folks.
That's right. Yeah, spending their Christmas Eve with us here.
It's been like over a month since Bobby and I have done a show. It has been. It's been a long time, folks, and we apologize. Bobby had life going on, and so did I. So we had to take a little bit of a hiatus between the two of us.
That's right. And they know, right now it's basketball season for my son, and I'm coaching him, and it's on Saturdays, and those times could differentiate. So we just got to work out the times. But I'm just glad that we were able to work this out here to get on with Fish Tank and myself, talk some Dolphins. But let us take a look, and let's do this first. Let's look on the bright side. We've talked about, the win with the 49ers. We talked about Chris Greer and, do we go for a new GM? We've talked about the quarterback. We've talked about the season at 7-8 and how it's underachieving. Let's look at the bright side of this season, Fish Tank, the silver lining. Okay?
All right.
Who on this team has given you hope for next year? When you look at this team and you go, you know what? This guy on our team next year is going to make a difference. I want him on this team. People talk about, oh, we got to trade Tua. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. Who's a guy that you're like, no, we can't move this guy? Or multiple? Is there multiple guys that you're like, I really feel good about the team because we have these players on it?
I like Chop, Sealer, Campbell.
Yeah.
Those three right off the bat, I would say, sign Campbell again for at least another year. See what you can get for a year. Like I said, I wouldn't be making too many moves in the wrong direction, but see what the trades are like on Waddle and Hill. And if you don't get enough from them, just keep them. No big deal, one way or the other. And then on the flip side, on the offensive side, you need to get some depth in there at a minimum, especially, your two tackles. You have no depth at your two tackles. You need to replace the guard that's in there. So which direction do you go after that? That's where I'd be at with the whole thing.
Yeah. So first off, when in regards of Sealer and Chop, first off, Chop Robinson, not going to name names, but there are some people on here that weren't happy with that pick, and that's okay. And there were some people who called him a bust throughout the season, which is kind of crazy when it's so early in the year. And now he's leading. He's the number one rookie in edge rushers with sacks. He has 7 sacks. 7. And it's not just that, it's bigger than the sacks. That's what I told people when we draft him. I go, his numbers don't match his skill. His skill is up, and this kid's only going to get better. I'm a huge fan of Chop.
He's going to get bigger and better.
Yeah.
He has troubles with his hand fighting a little bit right now, but as he gets a little bigger in the next couple years and he gets in those battles a little more with some big boys, then he'll.
Every time someone says something about Chop now, like, well, he's okay, but he's not, guys, he's a rookie. But look what he's doing right now as a rookie. Okay.
Yeah.
And people were saying, but now he doesn't have Jalen Phillips and he doesn't have Bradley Chubb. And well, look what he's doing. He's eating with Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell. That kid is eating. And first off, his celebration is on point. That's blockbuster right there. That's box office. Chop Robinson, and he does the chop. That's box office, dude. And, you know what I'm saying? And he continues to get better. He's the number with QB pressures and sacks, the number one rookie edge rusher, not Latu out of the Rams or Fisk or any of those other guys that everybody was saying we should get. It's him. So absolutely. Devon Achin, Jonnu Smith, Devon Achin, another guy who's just been stellar for us that people that Miami losing, I don't know why they go after. He should be the number one focal point. And when we do that, he loses. Well, they won. And he was the number one receiver and the number one running back on that team. Over 120 yards and 70 yards in the air, 6 receptions. He's the most reliable weapon we have. You don't have to call him an elite player in the regards of the NFL. You don't have to call him an elite back because that's not his main job. He's a Swiss Army knife. The dude he's a Debo Samuel, Reggie Bush type of back in regards of speed, athleticism, and you could do anything with him. You put him at receiver, you could put him at running back. That's a dude you keep. That's a football player. That's what he is. Oh, he's a running back. No, he's a football player. That's what he is. That's right. And Jonnu Smith, he has the most. He's like, I think he's leading with the Dolphins in regards of tight end, the most. Whatever, he's breaking a record now, and he's one of the top tight ends in the NFL coming to Miami. Finally, Miami knows how to use a tight end. You don't lose that. You bring him in. Now, you should go get another one. You should go, whether through the draft, you get another guy, because I don't want to see Julian Hill or Durham Smythe. Those guys can move forward. They can move on. Go get another guy to sit behind Jano, because Jano's not going to be here long term, but he should definitely be back. You should extend him for another 2-3 years, and go get a young tight end to pair with him. Because Jonnu is special, man. I know a lot of people go, but if you sign him to a deal, he's probably not going to play well next year. You can't live off that. You go based off what they've done, and you go based off what they could do the following season. And I think with this team and the outlet he's become for Tua, like Achin is, you bring those guys back. Now, Fisting, you said something very interesting, so I'm going to follow up on that. You said go look to see what you could get for Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Are you in the thing where you're like, if Miami tomorrow you found out traded a Jalen Waddle, not tomorrow, but after the season, trade Tyreek and Jalen Waddle for whatever, you're not hating it?
No, I wouldn't hate that. No.
Okay.
Not at all. There are plenty of wide receivers, okay? And every year you get a fresh new crop of wide receivers. And look at what the crop has done this year. Look at some of the young talent at wide receiver that's just smacking it around. Zay Flowers, for example. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to sit here and name every great wide receiver.
No. You're right, though. I get it. I get your point. I do understand what you're saying.
You can get a couple great wide receivers, and we don't have a big body wide receiver
No, we
to
don't.
begin with. We don't even have one, which is stupid, but we don't. We don't, and it's amazing to me. What we went for was small speed guys. That's great. That's great for two of them, but the other two should be big body guys because you need those big bodies to get up over the top. Where when Tyreek Hill is jumping and he's doing a 50-50 fight ball, somebody that's bigger would be jumping up and it would be his. So, it's all perception, but at the same time, the perception seems to say you don't need to keep those two wide receivers for this team to succeed. And we've seen that. So why would you keep somebody that you could get probably a great value for either one of them?
Yeah. You and I have talked about this before. I've used this DSG label, just put it in there. What have they done lately? That's what it's all about. I always talk about what have you done for me lately? And I think about Eddie Murphy when he says that joke. But I love you. What have you done for me lately? But baby, what have you done for me lately? And it's so true. Merry Christmas, MDC. And Tyreek's is not having a very good year, and the drops are killing. We're paying Tyreek way too much money. And I say we because we're Dolphin fans. And yes, you're not really official. No, we are a part of the team. We ride and die with this team. When those players leave, we're still going to be here cheering on this team. And so, Miami's paying Tyreek Hill way too much money to be making any type of drops. And yes, that interception at the end of the Houston game was a little underthrown, but Tyreek still had the ball in his hands. He needs to come down with that ball. I don't care about his size. We pay you way too much money. If that ball is in your hands, make that play. Yeah. And so in regards to Waddle, I think Cap's right on the money. Waddle, I think it would, if anybody was to move, it would be Tyreek just because of his number and his age. Waddle, I could see surviving another season. I don't think it's unheard of or it shouldn't be slept on that he could be moved. But Waddle is consistently hurt in big games. We should have drafted Penei Sewell. That's why Waddle would be moved, in my opinion.
Every time we look at something, did you ever notice, Bobby? Every time we look at something, it's we should have drafted this guy. Oh, we should have drafted that guy, and it's always a lineman.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, for me, we need to fix our line and clean our house a little bit first before we worry about the playmakers. And that's why I say getting rid of a playmaker wouldn't bother me whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and I will say too, I agree. I'm a Utah Fins fan. We have Janu, absolutely, but you still need that big time wide receiver because when they're not doing corner routes or fades into the end zone to Janu Smith. They're doing that to Tyreek and Washington. Washington has looked good. He looked really good last week, so I'm not taking anything away from him. But I'm saying is they're giving those fade routes to those smaller guys. They need a big bodied wide receiver who could come down with that ball and make it easier for Tua. Everyone wants to crap on Tua for being injury prone, but Waddle needs to be labeled injury prone. I am him. You're not wrong. Waddle has been unreliable and inconsistent and unreliable in regards of injuries. He always seems to be out. And that does suck. I don't see us getting mucked for Tyreek with his age. That's why Utah, I've said the same thing. Somebody saying, we could get a top 5 pick. No, you won't get a top 5 pick for Tyreek Hill. That's being, I don't see that happening. You might see a team later in the first round, like a Kansas City or a Baltimore, who would probably be okay giving up a first round pick because they know how to use their draft picks. They're not really holding on to that first rounder. But I could see more likely a second rounder, a couple second rounders. But a late round, first round, I wouldn't sleep on for those playoff type teams. Greer's whole formula is drafting injury prone and hoping and finding a diamond. Yeah, but waste that on a later round pick, not on your top guys or your money, because you signed Terran Armstead for all this money. Fish Tank, you remember a few years ago with Terran Armstead when we talked about that, we ended up signing him, but Terran Armstead was the number one tackle, and I didn't want him because of those injury issues. I was looking at Trent Brown, you know what I'm saying? And they went and got Terran Armstead, and exactly what it. And Armstead is, when healthy, is one of the best tackles, no doubt. And he loves the Dolphins, and I have.
But he's never healthy.
But he's never healthy. He can only last a few number of games, and he's out again. You're spending all that money for that guy to sit on the bench.
What a waste.
So that's where you look at Chris Greer. Oh, but he signed this guy. He drafted this guy. He did, okay, but look how much money he's wasting. And what does that matter? He drafted this guy. Okay, yeah, that guy's very good. What's our record? How did we finish? We got bounced. Oh, we didn't make it. Oh,
what did that guy do for the season too? He
That's
sat on
right.
the bench.
And so with the year Tyreek has had, I don't see us moving off Tyreek. His value has gone down. Maybe, but can you trust that his value is going to go back up? I mean, if teams are not do we see that actually happening? You could go with the hope of keeping Tyreek and type of player he is and hoping he blows up again for a season and has a kill because he has that type of potential. But that's what Tyreek is, player you sign or trade for, potential. Because people go, oh, those quarterbacks like a Pat Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson or any of those top guys, they would love to have a receiver like Tyreek Hill, and a team in a playoff hunt who wants to make a run for the Super Bowl, who thinks he might be the final piece, would give up for that. So that's where I think that falls. Waddle's a guy whose value drops, and then you go, maybe I keep him and see if his value could go up, but then you don't want to trade him after his value goes up. So that usually is the case. But anyway, I digress. So very quick. Right now, currently with the playoffs, Fish Tank, we'll wrap this up after this. The playoffs, we have KC, and this is the AFC. We'll look at the AFC only. We have Kansas City at number 1 at 14-1. They find ways to win, and I know people will, the referees and all that, but they just find ways to win, which is crazy to me. Buffalo's number 2, Pittsburgh 3, Houston 4, Baltimore 5, the Chargers at 6, and the Broncos at 7. They're both 9-6 on the season. The team still in the playoff hunt, the top 2 at least, is the Colts at 7-8, Miami at 7-8, and the Bengals at 7-8. And Indianapolis owns the tiebreaker over Miami because they beat the Dolphins, which is still crazy to think to me. Let's go ahead and pull this up. So moving on to next week. There's a lot of big-time matchups. Here's the crappy thing about the Indianapolis route. Miami has to win out. They got to beat Cleveland. They got to beat the Jets. That could happen. What sucks, though, is it's in Cleveland, Fish Tank. Yeah. And it's in New York. And we've seen what the cold weather does. And I'm going to kill the narratives. Well, he hasn't because they still lost. But these are winnable games, no doubt, with the Cleveland Browns and the Jets. So let's say they win those 2 games. Well, here's who the Colts are facing. If the Browns and the Jets are winnable games, the Indianapolis Colts are facing the New York Football Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a tough pill to swallow. But let's play this out. So let me do this very quick. I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
Colts have to drop one. If the Colts don't drop one of those games, it's over.
Colts have to at least drop one. Isn't there multiple routes? Isn't it the Broncos too, or is it just the Colts, Fish Tank?
Well, the Broncos have to lose out.
And the Broncos face the Bengals, which they could. Bengals could sneak. They could lose that to the Bengals. But then in week 17. Any given Sunday, I know somebody should say that. I said so. And then they face the Kansas City Chiefs, but the Kansas City Chiefs could be resting guys in week 18. So that's where because if they're not resting, then okay, hey, we have a shot. But they would have to lose out. Miami would have to win out. Dolphins are 2-5 on the road, and the Cleveland Browns are 2-5 at home. But of course, they're just not a good team, and I think they got Darian Thompson-Robinson as their starter going forward throughout the season. And let's say if Miami beats them, then they go against the Jets. Jets are 2-5 and at home as well, where the Dolphins are 2-5 on the road. So it's we won't make our prediction because we have Saturday, Fish Tank. We'll make our Cleveland Browns prediction, but if in your heart of hearts, from 1 to 10. Where do you put our chances if you had to rate it from 1 to 10 that Miami could actually do it, make the playoffs?
I actually give us about a 7 or an 8.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because if the Chargers lose out or if the Broncos lose out, we're in. If either one of those two teams lose out, the Chargers or the Broncos, and the Colts drop one, we're in. So we actually have a good possibility of getting in as long as we win. So I could see it's going to be hard for the Raiders to beat the Chargers. Okay, that's the first one we want to look at, and then the next one is, the Colts. They're going against the Giants and the Jaguars, like you said. Yeah, that's not a lot of Christmas hope there, is there?
That's what this show is about.
But then you have this coming week. You have the Patriots against the Chargers. So I don't really see the Chargers losing out. Okay, yeah. So that defaults you back to the Broncos losing out is what it comes down to. Now, are the Broncos going to lose out? The Broncos have the Bengals and the Chiefs. See, so that could be either way on the Chiefs. That's a coin tosser right there.
Yeah, that's
so why it's like, and even if they do win, even if they do lose out, the Colts have to lose to the Giants or the Jags, and I don't know that I can see that. So that's where I guess
it's a coin toss because
I should be more at 6.
Yeah, I would say so. Very quick, a coin toss, DSG label, because Kansas City is 14-2 with the number 1 seed. If they win next week's game, they go 52 and they lock in the number 1 seed. Do you think they're going to play their starters in week 18? That's where the coin toss comes in. So
I think that in previous years they've played their starters.
I think they play for a half.
Yeah, for a half.
So what I'm saying is, but let's go Chiefs. Crash out. Thanks for watching. But that's why for me, Fish Tank, because of all that and everything you just laid out, if I go 1 to 10, because it's the Christmas spirit, I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say 3.
You're giving us a 3?
A 3 out of 10. Because it could happen. It could. But, but if you look at Miami's side, Fish Tank, Miami should beat these two teams coming up.
Well, I think that the Broncos are going to lose out, and I think that the Giants are going to beat the Colts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Giants are going to beat the Colts. You can mark that one down.
Okay. So, this is all for naught because the Dolphins have to win. It doesn't matter what the other teams do. If Miami loses just one more game, they're eliminated.
The one that I'm concerned about is the Cleveland game because of the cold. That's the one that I'm concerned with. That's the big concern for me. But outside of that, I think the Giants are actually going to beat the Colts.
Oh, man, that would be a huge upset. Not for us, but it'd be a huge upset for the NFL in general, just because the Giants are so freaking bad. And I know they're chasing that number 1 pick.
Yeah, but their defense is good enough to hold the Colts offense. That's the main thing. And if they can hold them for a little while, because their defense is a little better than the defense, than the Colts defense. So, the Colts having a weaker defense opens up a few things, and for the offense that's looked abysmal is my point. So we'll see, but I think the Colts are going to lose that game.
There you go. The Jets are going to be in the final. It's all going to be cold. Yeah, but we'll see. Well, Fishing and I will have our final predictions next Saturday for another episode of Fins Talk Today. But anyway, guys, listen. Thank you all for joining us. Wherever you're watching, whatever you're doing, we appreciate you for just taking the time to come on in here and talk Dolphins with us and to celebrate this Christmas holiday. We appreciate you all. Fishing, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. For whatever holiday you celebrate, may you enjoy yourself and your families.
That's right.
Fins up.
Fins up, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Like and subscribe. But most importantly, as always, fins up.